could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Yeah, and times are changing everywhere. Do we dream and do we dare? It's up to you, the door is open wide. Feel the rhythm of today, learn the part and join the play. The world is here, let's take it for a ride. You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Larger, larger than, bigger, bigger than, living hopes and dreams. Every boy and girl, higher, higher than, brighter, brighter than, all you wanted. You know, you could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. Hopes and dreams, every boy. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. You know you could.
Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Grand Colombia coming to you from Armenia, Colombia. And welcome to another Coffee Time Live. As a matter of fact, number 229. Now, why is that number important? It's not. Okay, so the weather today, right now, it's about 70 degrees. We're going to have a high of 76. We're going to have a low of about 64 degrees, and that's at 5 o'clock in the morning. Every day it seems that 5 o'clock in the morning will be the lowest temperature, and at 4 o'clock, it's usually a little warmer. So it just kind of goes down, down. 5 o'clock is rock bottom, and then it goes back up. Typically, it's about an hour a day it'll be at that temperature. And tribute to not forgetting, although this one I would like to forget, there's the peso exchange, down a couple hundred. Adds up. So that's where we're at, 39.86 Colombian pesos to the dollar. All right, got a bunch to talk about. I don't have a main topic today because I got a whole bunch of little things, so I figure it'll probably be enough. Plus, I got a birthday party coming to my house, not my birthday. Some friends, they want to come here and, well, I do the video on Sundays, and then I unwind and do a bunch of notes and things like that. And so I was invited to go to this birthday thing. I said, I really won't have time because by the time I'm all done, you know, you're going to be wrapping up. We'll come to you. So that was pretty cool. So they're coming here to have their birthday party. This is completely off track. This has nothing to do with Colombia. But I want to mention it. I was surprised. I got something in my YouTube feed telling me that there's a new Beatles song. Now, a lot of you probably know about it. It was November 2nd, and it was the last Beatles song where all four Beatles contributed to it. Although part of it was in the 70s, part of it was in the 90s, and part of it was this year. And a bunch of technology involved to make everything happen. And I was struck by, first of all, it was kind of a nostalgic song. It was written by John Lennon, and he recorded it on a tape recorder in his house way back when. And the thing about the Beatles is that for me, they were the soundtrack of my life. Now, they didn't begin when I was born, but when I really became aware of music, 8, 9, 10 years old, somewhere in there, is when they, came into the United States. And or the first, I remember hearing him for the very first time. I was sitting in a barber's chair. That's about all I remember. Don't remember the song. I just remember that the old guys, who were probably 30, were complaining about the type of music today, or something along those lines. But anyway, throughout high school, grade school, junior high, and high school, there were the Beatles. And by the time I graduated, the Beatles had broken up, and then you had all the individual John Lennon albums and Paul McCartney. There was kind of and every once in a while, George would throw some things in, and Ringo would throw in, his stuff. And it just seemed like it was always there. And then John Lennon, got killed, and it all kind of fizzled. Now, I know Paul McCartney, he probably made 50 albums after that. He already did some really good ones, and it just seemed to, I don't know, it just didn't do much for me. But then this thing hit, and it just kind of all came back. The soundtrack of my life is still going. So that probably doesn't make any sense to you, but it was striking to me. Okay, let's see. We got some comments here. We'll start, as always, with thank you to Yuka. And thank you to Jerry. I appreciate the contributions. And everyone else that contributes in various ways. They go to my website, and some people like Rob, he contributes every month automatically. So thank you all. It keeps me going. I really enjoy doing this most of the time. I mean, there's times, especially, I'm trying to do this three video series that's got editing, and I'm just not a fan of the editing. But for the most part, I really enjoy it. Let's see. We got good morning from Juka. That's me. Then we got Ron. Hello from Pensacola, Florida. Rob, good morning from Fort Lauderdale. Mike Jarvis, good morning from South Armenia. How you doing? I got that video. I realized it was an hour and something, and I was doing prep this morning. I've seen a few like that, but I did watch about 10 minutes of it. It looked really good. Looked really well done. Turtle, I'm going to talk about you in a minute. Good morning, Earthlings. John Sawicki, good morning from Seattle. Will, good morning from Fort Lauderdale. Mike Carroll, no pressure. Bills came 8:20. Yeah, that's true. Go Bills. You notice that little icon heart thing on the right side is gone. I still have a thing that pops up and gets in my way, though. When you see me going through these and there's this hesitation, I can't read. I still have this script that pops up, but I did find where to turn it off, and I turned it off. Mark, love and life in Armenia. We're all grateful for the information we received from your show. See you Wednesday. He's talking about the coffee meeting. Gentlemen, they're going to get rid of that thing. Gentleman X, good morning all. Heading on over to Plaza Flora to check things out. So far, Armenia has exceeded my expectations for sure. See you in a few, Mark. It's cool that you guys hook up with each other. One of the benefits of this channel is you get to find out other people, and if you choose to be social, you got other people to hook up with. I just caution you, don't forget about hooking up with some locals, and I don't just mean the chicks. You know who I'm talking about. Robert, good morning from Montreal. I was born north of there. William Hutchinson. Bill, how you doing? Which William Hutchinson are you, though? Are you the one that is my friend and Mike's friend? Because apparently there's another one floating around out there. John C., good morning from rainy Cerritos. Yeah, it's rainy all over. We'll talk a little bit about that. Ed Lee, moving to Cali in December. I'm sorry to hear that. That's 3 now, I think, that are moving because, well, they kind of have to. Wives. Okay, so what we got next? Okay, Turtle. We're going to talk about Turtle. So Turtle sends me a message, and he's got this idea about doing some interviews and recording them. At first, I thought he was pulling my leg, but it seems serious and sounds like a good idea. At least for me, it turned out to be kind of fun getting involved in this sort of thing. And he was asking me about a camera, but he's asking me about a 360. Now, Turtle, I'm kind of talking to you about a 360 camera. What do I think is best? Well, I know the best one on the market right now, within a reasonable cost, $500 and under. And so I told him. However, for what he's going to do, I don't think it's the best camera. And I think you sent a picture. I was actually in the middle of something else when I was responding to you. So if it seemed disjointed, that'll be part of why. I was in the middle of something, other information. But I think you sent a photo of the new Osmo Pocket 3. And that would be the very best camera, and the version of it would be the creator's version. Now, I know it's a little over your budget. It's $550, I believe. And you're going to want to have somebody bring it to you, because if you don't, it's going to be $100 in taxes. So it'll be $650. Cameras fall into the tax thing. So it'll be pricey. However, it's head and shoulders the best for what you're talking about. You know, it's I see it in my dreams. So, just to follow up. Speaking of Turtle and hobbies, appears he's found a hobby himself already. And this is what we call a street fellow here in Colombia, just like everywhere. You know, we have our share of them. And this one apparently is on his walk. And you see that plastic bag, he's making and delivering sandwiches to street people, which is not the realtor guy, which is pretty cool. Woo, race cars. Can you hear them? I don't know if you can hear that. Every once in a while, you have these motorcycles or cars that have very, very loud exhaust, and they hit this 4-lane road, and they just hoping the cops don't seem to bother people doing that. Okay, so if you're going to do that as a hobby, what you might want to do is some fundraising for it and have somebody help you, and you can buy more food and stuff, and you could turn it into like a real thing. But anyway, they're cool. Let's see. Edward Lee. The view I wake up to every morning is more important than the city. Okay. LL or AI. Just wonder if immigration in Colombia is asking for health insurance on arrival for visitor's visa. Yes. Not the realtor guy. Cool. You're the real one. Awesome. Rob, are they turtle sandwiches? Well, apparently they are. Okay. What do we got next? Oh, I got a comment on last week's topic, the Armenia versus Medellin topic. And it was very nice, so I thought I'd show it off. Lauren, your take on Medellin is spot on, in my opinion. I've lived in Medellin for 9 years, and the change in the city just since the pandemic has accelerated all the negative aspects of life here beyond what even I expected. A British publication earlier this month, October 2023, listed 70th Street in Laureles, Barrio Estadio, as the best neighborhood in the world. What that will do is increase the number of people coming to Medellin and bringing with them all the negative aspects of the Western countries. It isn't just the Western countries. They have their particular bad traits, but I'll tell you, there's other people from other parts of the world that bring their share of issues also. It's when, cultures clash. I finally have accepted that the city I fell in love with in 2014 is no longer the city I want to live in moving forward. Yeah, that's a bitter pill to swallow. And the pandemic destroyed much of the world, and it certainly did its share of harm here. Armenia is not the same as it was before. It will never be the same as it was before. And it wasn't an improvement. It's not to say that it isn't awesome. And, everybody went through their stuff, and I think everywhere it became a downgrade. But, there's some things that I used to see that I don't see. It's kind of sad because, it's never gonna return. But that's everywhere, and such is life. But it's a good point about Medellin. It just, looking forward, it doesn't see. I don't see any reason for it to be improving. It's looking bleak. Edward Lee, both of you, I'm talking about my girlfriend. Okay. All right. For some reason, I noticed that a lot of places for rent in Armenia, correct me if I'm wrong, there's always been a lot of places for rent. The problem is, because it's a small market, the problem is finding places that are the closest to what you want. It's almost impossible to find exactly what you want unless, nothing's really that important to you. You make your list of priorities, you kind of have to decide that you're going to make some compromises, because what may seem like a lot of rentals, it really boils down to, it's probably not a lot of rentals for what you're looking for. But rental prices are certainly up. That's everywhere. But what are you going to do? Inflation is what it is. All right, let's. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the news. As I said, I don't have any specific topic. Before I go on, I have a lot of nice things to say about living here and the people, and sort of, this is kind of tongue in cheek. It's true, and it certainly isn't intended to insult. But people here enjoy singing, and a song that they like will come on, and people will join in. It's like if I have people here and they're playing some music that they like, and it's like, picture a Beatles song come on. well, everybody that's here will start singing. And if you go to a club or a bar or restaurant, the song comes on, people will start singing. Well, that's cool. However, have you ever noticed the Colombians are the most tone deaf people in the world? And I skipped through a few clips this morning just to kind of confirm people I know that go out, and I listen to these things, most of them again, and it's like it's like cats, nails on a chalkboard. It's like, my God, they can't carry a tune. What's up with that? Anybody know? Clue me in on that. How is it that an entire population of people don't know how to carry a note? Okay, anyway. Maybe that wasn't very nice, but it's a valid observation, I'm telling you. First article. We have a problem here in Quindío. It's been ongoing, but it's increasing. Now these titles are Google translated, so sometimes they don't make perfect sense. 750 individuals of wildlife, they're talking about birds and mammals, have been saved from illegal trafficking in Quindío. We have a poacher's problem. There's poachers that will get some of these animals that are, like in this photo, either cute or rare or going to bring a lot of money. A lot of these, most of these are sold outside of the country, and it's a real issue, and it's been growing. But you know, as an economy, or as the world economy struggles, you find more and more issues like this. People are trying to make a buck. So it's not a good thing. So there's an article that detailed some of that's going on. Now, somebody said, why don't you get into more of the details? I tell you about these things because I think it might pique some interest, or maybe it's of interest to me, or maybe it's important to the area or to the country. But you can go online, you can read all the details you want. If you see something that really piques your interest, check it out. Dan Spencer, American retirees don't have to worry about inflation because they're getting a generous 3.2% cost of living increase. Sure. I'm sure there's a lot of nice places to live in almost every big city, lots of nasty places also. It's when I'm looking for an apartment, often I'll only find 3 or 4 places that really kind of work for me. I don't have endless places. My nephew went to the University of Chicago a few years ago, and he goes, more than a block away from the campus, you're taking life in your own hands. Yeah, well, that's big city too, but yeah, definitely it's gotten worse. All right, next one. It's going to sound medical, but it's really political. We've got a medicine shortage. Now, if you just go into the pharmacy and buy medicine, from what I understand, there's not really a shortage. I have to get medication every month, and I don't ever have any issue. Every once in a while, pharmacy might be sold out, and they won't get any more until Wednesday or something. But there hasn't really been a structural issue with getting medicine. However, going through like EPS Sanitas or one of the insurance companies for your medication, which is what you should do, so you end up paying like 30 cents copay, if that. They're having shortages like crazy, and I was wondering why this was the case, because I read something about it last month, and then it's coming up, it's getting even worse. And then you combine it with, you have all of these providers that are not getting their money back. The government collects the money some portions of that money, and it's supposed to be distributed out to the providers and like that. So that there's issues in getting reimbursed or getting access to medications by these providers. Well, it turns out that there's a minority led by El Presidente. I should have put his little, we got a little clip for him, but I didn't. They're trying to push for a government-controlled healthcare system, which is absolutely insane because they already went through the process of deciding what to do, came out with one that's placed them as one of the highest or one of the best countries in the world for medical, and it's able to not run at a loss like in Ecuador, where they have to borrow money every year, infuse money into it to keep it alive. Here, most of these providers run at a profit. There's a couple at the bottom end of the spectrum that don't. You get a little churning at the bottom. Like here in Armenia, we have 12 providers, and for a few years it's been relatively stable. But it's not unusual to have one or two of those drop off, go bankrupt or whatever, and then have a couple of one or two others or three, come in and start, trying to compete. It's not a government run system, but that's why you get some things like the variations and extras that you can add on to your insurance policies. There's a lot of flexibility because it's not a government-run system. And one of the reasons it runs at a profit is because you don't have layers of middle managers deciding on whether you can get some life-saving care or not. The doctors make that decision. So they've got a great system, one of the best in the world, and they're still trying to do government control. And control is the key word because the only reason they could possibly want to do that is to have control. And what they're doing is they're slowing down reimbursement payments. They're standing in the way of medicine because the medicine is available. It's just not available through the normal outlet. When you have a provider, you go to particular pharmacies. They often have their own pharmacies, but you can go to a particular pharmacy and get that medicine. But you have pharmacies all over the place. And if you're just not going through your insurance, you can just walk into any pharmacy and buy your medicine. The thing is, if you have insurance, why pay $30 a month, for example, for something when you could be paying 30 cents a month? So it's kind of insidious, but I think it's an important news item. There's enough people now complaining about it that I think there's going to be a backlash, and hopefully it'll clear up. Okay, enough of the meds. Rain. Oh my goodness, it's been, I love the rain, and I don't live in a place, I don't have repercussions, but we've had some pretty wicked rain, one after another, and it does kind of soak into the ground. And this headline says, Cordoba, Calarca, Salento, Armenia, Latabaida, and Kimbaya seriously affected by rains. I saw one picture, and I forgot. I should have put it up, but I forgot that it has this massive flood. It has a river running down a highway. And this is a map of Quindío. And the red is they're having severe issues in certain areas of that. Salento is notorious, but they're having problems all over. But it's not just all over Quindío. They're having problems all over Colombia. As a matter of fact, they're having problems all over South America. So, except Ecuador. Ecuador has been running in a drought. And I used to complain about this when I lived there because they do absolutely nothing for water management. So when the rainy seasons come, everything floods because they have no infrastructure to handle it. Everything floods, and then that water is not collected, stores, there's no reservoir. And so come the time when it's not rainy, they have droughts. And I lived through several droughts when I was there. And 6 months of the year, you look up, instead of beautiful greenery, your mountain side is ground and brown. Yeah, brown. It is ground and brown. And you have forest fire issues all the time. And, it's just not, it's like, why don't you do something to retain some water for when it's not there? But they don't. Here, it's green all the time. It rains all the time. But sometimes when you get an overabundance, it's got to go somewhere. Okay. What else have I got? Covered that. Oh, you all remember Alejandra, right? I got a picture here showing her new haircut. I was kind of shocked. It's cut short. It's colored. Actually, it's beautiful color. Suits her well. But what this picture is she's getting her teaching certification. She teaches a lot of Spanish classes, and she decided to actually get certified because with that, she'll be able to do some other country online stuff. She certainly knows the topic, but this will open some more doors for her. So congratulations to that, and congratulations to the haircut. Looks nice. All right. And the last thing I have, sort of a news item, we have a new mayor. I love the one for the last 4 years. We'll call him Mr. Awesome. The new mayor, here he is, Mr. Garcia. Got him for the next 4 years. He is a pretty famous soccer player. 15 years he played soccer. He's worked in certain government posts as sports director and things like that. He's, like I say, he's pretty well known. He's very popular. There's no negatives around him. And there were 14 people up for mayor, and he kind of swept them away. So that's all good. Plus, he worked in a couple capacities for Mr. Awesome, the last mayor. So if anything, maybe things will even continue to improve. So I'm very happy about that. He did an interview, of course, and my first government action will be to convene a security council. Well, let me show you 3 things that they highlight. It's kind of 4 things, but it's highlighted as 3 things that they consider to be the primary issues to address. And surprised me a little, but it makes sense. We've got 3 worrying problems in Canadian capital: street living, insecurity, and in insecurity, they're actually talking about poverty and crime, which makes sense, and road mobility, traffic jams, potholes, things like that. And potholes, a big topic. I was going to talk about it, but potholes aren't exactly exciting. But there's a lot of people, including politicians, that are screaming bloody murder because a lot of money has been put into fixing potholes over the last 10 years. But the outfit that the road workers weren't using similar materials, they're using dissimilar materials. So we've got some concrete roads here, for example, and they were trying to patch it with blacktop. It doesn't work. You got to patch with concrete, and blacktop, you got to patch with blacktop. and they weren't doing that. And so a lot of them degraded, came apart in less than a year. And so there's a big pothole problem. But he's looking more at our traffic has been growing. We don't want to become another Pareda or Medellin where it's just unbearable. There's already things in the works, but he considers that one of the top problems. Crime and poverty, where that could lead Armenia, and the fact that the Armenia, the politics of it and the police are constantly having to push back. It's a very safe place, but it doesn't happen magically. There's a lot of forces that would love to criminalize Armenia and make it a profit center, and they're just constantly pushing back. And so that's an issue, and it's almost always driven by poverty. So street living, insecurity, road mobility. Now, Armenia doesn't have anywhere near the amount of people living on the street as many other places in Colombia, including Pareda, or percentage of, but we have them. And recently, it's been growing a bit. And that it's for a couple things. Internally, it's been growing because inflation has grown, which means the bottom end of the economy has gotten larger, which means the middle class have, a portion of them dropped into that poverty. They came from somewhere, well, they came out of the middle class. So you have more people living in poverty. And because we've got recent movement of that, it takes time to adjust. And a lot of people that don't know how to adjust to, I was middle class yesterday, lost my job, I'm in poverty today. A lot of times they'll end up on the street, and it'll take a while for them to figure it out. Hasn't been a comment for a while. Please let me know if you're still hearing me, if everything, it says I'm still broadcasting, so let me know. I know I'm riveting. Oh, there we go. One popped up. So, so the concern with the street growing internally, of course, you want to take care of your own people and figure out solutions to that. But there's something else that's been happening. This I didn't know. I've been out of the drug scene for many decades. There's a lot of people that will come to Colombia and get involved in drugs. There's a lot of people in Colombia, especially if they're in poverty, they'll turn to drugs. The United States is no different. You're seeing spikes in drugs along with spikes in poverty. But what I didn't know, because like I say, I've been in that scene and forever. I was a bad boy once, but that was a long time ago. Is that the cost of drugs, Candio is one of the cheapest in Colombia. One of the cheapest in Colombia because it hasn't been much of a market, which drives the price down, which is attracting street people from outside of Armenia to come into Armenia, because if their drugs are a quarter or a third of what it costs somewhere else. And here, just like in the United States or Canada, a fair amount of street people is fueled by drug use, so that can be an issue. So there's mostly this stuff is problems on the horizon that could really get way out of control. And they're viewing it as we need to do something now before that happens, because we don't ever want to lose Armenia to the forces of evil. And so I'm very appreciative of the priorities that they have. I mean, I would have just thrown them in my mouth if they were talking about, our number one priority is climate. I love our climate. Let's worry about the real issues. So I'm very happy about that. Tex Blue Jeans. Colombian opposition politician mayors defeat Petro's coalition local regional elections, Bogota, Medellin, and Cali. I heard that they gained some ground in Bogota, which wouldn't surprise me because it's one of the most liberal areas of the country, except the coast. But here in Armenia, it was overwhelming. Definitely. Hear you good. Awesome. Yeah, I think I was just putting people to sleep because as soon as I mentioned that, I'd start getting some comments. Rob, hey Mikey, fellow Vermonter, we'll be in town Thursday and Friday. We'd love to see your new place. We'll reach out. We going to dinner Thursday or Friday? John Sawecki. Heard VE. Heard in a good spot in downtown Seattle. What's VE? Homeless person can make $200 to $300 US on a good day. Wow. Yo, Rob, Mikey, I grew up in Brattleboro until the Call of Haight-Ashbury. Yeah. Yeah, I guess most of us were of those days. Okay. Did I cover everything? I think I covered everything. Oh, at our last coffee meeting, we had probably 6 or 7 people, I think. It was pretty cool. I don't think there's been less than 6, except that one day where nobody showed up. So I'm going to keep trying to go. It's fun, and it's a day when Wednesdays happens to be when Mark changed it. I go, don't be changing things around. In retrospect, I really appreciate that he did because he changed it to a day where I usually have to go out and do things anyway. Mike Jarvis, born and raised, okay, Turtle. Did not know that. Manchester Center for me. All right. Did I have a train of thought? I don't know. All right. So let me do this. It's Q&A time. It's time to start asking your questions. Remember, 4 question marks first, then ask the question. Awesome. Thursday. Okay, sounds cool. And you're going to walk to my place, and then we're going to go to dinner after that. We have any questions? I don't think my birthday people are showing up till 12:30. Last call, any comments? I've been struggling, it's probably not the right word. Well, maybe. My notes, I'll be recording later this coming week, and then I'll be editing, and then I'll have those videos done for the retirement series. But what I'm struggling with, I'm trying to make this an overview because I don't want this to be, 100 to the series and take forever. And I've got daunting editing to do that I won't want to do. And, I'm trying to make it the highlight of things that maybe some are obvious, maybe some you didn't think of, point in the direction without going into a lot of details. And I got some emails telling me, it would be great if I, explained every step of the process to get a visa, for example, every step of this and every step of that. And those things individually are 20, 30-minute videos. So how am I going to do 60 different items? It's just not going to work. And so this is going to be an overview of the essentials that will apply to most people. There might be a little offshoots here or there that I might casually mention, but I won't necessarily, cover to any degree. And where I've been struggling a little bit is sorting out, trying to prioritize what those things are going to be. And I'm in that stage. So I've got basically the outline done in a rough stage. I'm trying to refine it and define it, and then start doing the videos later this coming week. Any change? Bank Colombia, Davi Vienda with declining conversion rate. Last time I had to accept to get my money with Charles Schwab card. I heard somebody else say that Bank Colombia, you don't get the option. Bank Colombia, you are going to get screwed, period. The conversion rate is going to be ridiculous. It'll be 500-600 pesos to the dollar, less than what it actually is. Plus, you're going to pay an ATM fee, a charge. Some of that you can get back, but you don't get all of it back. So you want to go through Davi Vienda. And with them, the screen pops up. Now, somebody said that they didn't have the option, but I think that's just somebody not familiar with it, because I go usually every week to 2 weeks, absolutely every month. And I've been looking at the same basic screen for years. And I just went last week. I had to go to Davi Vienda, and same as always, the screen comes up with the conversion calculation, and you can accept it or decline it. And I declined it, and it went through. I will say that on one that I did recently that I checked up on, instead of being the exact for that day, unless I made a mistake, I think it was like 100,000 less. But I can't swear to that, because I'm not sure that I checked accurately. It just kind of seemed like it might be that way. But so last time it was right. So I don't think that's changed. I probably shouldn't even have said that, because I wasn't sure of that. So I mean, it's been working fine. So use Davi Vienda, don't use Bank Colombia. The only way you want to use Bank Colombia is if you have Bank Colombia and your money's already there. You can pull out of the ATM and there's no charge. Have you started your process to residency? Sort of. She just sent me an updated list, which was identical to the one she sent me 2 months ago. I just wanted to be sure. And this week, I'll be sending off for my apostille for my Social Security. And I've got to get a movement certificate. I've never had to do that, but I've heard about them. I did in Ecuador. So I'm not sure yet where to do that. So I'm going to find out. I'll probably get that done this week. So this week, I'll be laying the groundwork. That stuff should be back by the week after. And that'll be probably when I give it to her to get taken care of. Davi Vienda is the same on the ATMs. The other problem with doing detailed videos on things like visa process is that after some time becomes outdated. Absolutely. You wouldn't believe, I have people that'll watch a video from, 6 years ago, still in Ecuador, and they'll email me that that's not true. Well, it was true 6 years ago. I mean, come on, look at the date on it. Things change. I just pulled a few million, and the screen process was as usual. Yeah, and it was last week too. So FYI, there was a long delay with comments from chat appearing on screen. There's a, oh, you mean you put in and it took a long time to show up? There's a 30-second delay. If you put a chat in, you can't put another chat in for 30 seconds. That was to solve a problem, which it did solve. I wish I didn't have to, but you get spammers and things like that think it's funny and just disrupts for 50 people watching. So so there's that. As far as you type the chat in, there's a delay going up. That's almost always on YouTube's end. For me, I have a setting here that gives me a couple seconds from when it sends versus what I'm actually doing. So there's a slight delay because that's the suggested minimum. But what I do here live versus what I can see here on YouTube, sometimes that's 6 or 7 seconds. Sometimes it's 20 seconds. It depends. And so that's on YouTube's side of it. And I don't think that would be much different with any, I think that's just the technology of today. I think you still get certain slowdowns and delays. Charles, great, thanks. Must have hit wrong button. Oh, the ATM. Yeah, I think probably. And maybe the wrong ATM. So definitely use the Davivienda. Has anyone had any experience with the Dollar app MasterCard using it here in Colombia? I don't never heard of that, but I will say this, that most foreign cards don't work in Colombia. For some things they will, but for other things they won't, particularly with online stuff. So for example, you're here and you got XYZ credit card from whatever bank outside of Colombia, and you try to pay your Movistar cell phone bill, it won't accept it. There's a good chance it won't accept it. But if you use something else, like within Colombia, then it will. For example, I don't know if you guys know about this or not. Let me pull mine out. It doesn't cost anything. And if you need to have something online, or you're worried about, protecting your credit card numbers or whatever, you can get these Nexigo Visa. It's like a cash card, but it's accepted everywhere. As a matter of fact, people here that are on the lower end, that don't have don't have to be on the lower end, but it's typical that most everybody you meet in Colombia, poor, middle class, they'll have a Nexigo card or a Nexigo account. Most of the transactions, you don't even need the card. It's an app on the phone. And you can transfer money, you can pay bills, you can pay your cell phone. I had a situation when I went to Pueblo Pijao last time where I didn't have cash, and the ATM, the one ATM they had in town, wasn't working, and I needed to pay her. I said, well, how am I going to do that? Because it said on booking.com they take credit and debit cards, except she didn't. She filled the thing out because she has it pending and she was going to have it in a week or two, but she didn't actually have it then. And then she asked if I had a Nexigo account. Well, I do, as a matter of fact. So what I did was I transferred money from Bank Colombia to the Nexigo account, so I could do that on the phone with the two different apps. And then I just I was going to give her the card, and she said, well, here's my account. It's a phone number. And so I just transferred it, through the app, and we were done. So if you're here and you don't have Colombian cards, but you want to pay some things online that is rejecting your Schwab or your Capital One or something like that, because that will happen, you get one of these and then you can just transfer money to it. And you say, well, how do I transfer money to it if I can't do it from my particular card? Well, you can take the cash and you go to one of these cash booths you find everywhere and just put it on your Necky card. Okay, so some of you will probably find that useful. You might want to do that. Can't get Necky without a cedula. I don't know if they even asked me for one. I'm going to assume that you need a cedula number, but they don't actually check it because you sign up for it online. But if you're living here, you pretty much have to have a cedula anyway. It's not optional. If you're just here visiting for a few days, then it's not an issue. I did not perceive any delay adding chat on my end. Yeah, it could have just been his local setup also. The delay is them appearing on the video screen. Right. Oh, on those, do you mean this one? Yeah, I do that manually as I think of it, if that's what you're talking about. And if you're talking about the little whoop, this one there, it's not backwards. It's actually the way it is, which is backwards for me. If you mean this box here, that's just kind of a reference box. There's not a timer thing. It goes through another piece of software. It just kind of automatically puts things on the screen because I had people say, can you do that? I did it. And then I got a bunch of comments about how they liked it, which is one of my issues is I can't do that if I go to Rumble, for example. Of course, that's not making my decision, but that's one of the handful of reasons why I would lose some things if I went to Rumble. If that's all it was, I would already be there. Okay, anything else? We're coming up on an hour. I missed you today. Dolphins are playing and losing. Awesome. 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 Yeah, we need them to lose, and then we need to win. But isn't that always the case? You need everybody else to lose, and you need to win. Yeah, last week was heartening. That was a fun game. All right. I think that's it. Last call. Last call. On my no topic Sunday. Next week will be Coffee Time Live episode number 230. Could be a few more because I counted them up as in the playlist, how many are in the playlist. But occasionally I might have forgotten one or missed one or two and not put them into the playlist by accident. I have it set up to automatically do it, but YouTube every once in a while kind of zeroes things out and you have to go back in and set things up. And, who knows, in between I might have missed it. But for the best of my knowledge, that's about where we are. Thank you for mentioning my hobby. Well, those of following know, I got wrapped up in several things when I was in Ecuador that really, in a way, got in the way of time of some things I was trying to do. But on the other hand, it was fun, gratifying doing those things. And it did an awful lot of good that I look back on, and the friends that I made through the course of doing those things. And those of you who don't follow, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It doesn't matter. Back in the U.S., I used to, anonymously do some fundraisers. There was a time when I was kind of a big shot, and I would use that to work with the Salvation Army. And but I always kept it. I was never so embarrassed as one time I did something, and I was blasted all over a couple regional newspapers for doing. It was so embarrassing to me, but those things they're fun to do. You know, you say, well, you're doing something for others. I always just found it very gratifying for myself. You know, so I hope you enjoy it. I'm sure you've probably done things like that in the past yourself. Miami is coming back. Damn it. We're moving to Colombia soon, Santa Marta or Armenia. Well, I don't understand that. I mean, they couldn't be two very different types of places. If you like heat and mosquitoes, Santa Marta's for you. Okay. I should stop with my bad humor, because while I entertain myself, other people don't necessarily know when I'm joking. All right, we're going to end it here. Thank you all. Thank you. I've got Juka, Jerry. Thank you for the contributions. And thank you, everybody who supports me in this channel in one way or another, be it monthly, be it one-time gifts, be it weekly on coffee time. It keeps everything going. From Miami used to be beach life. Oh, used to the beach life. Yeah, well, okay. Just remember, I told you so. I'll see you next week. Ciao.
Oh.